Hey, what's up, guys? I thought I'd give you all a little bit of an update on my Hungry Bin. It's been about 2 weeks since I brought it inside. Right when I brought it inside, I gave it the heaviest feeding that I've ever given it. I did feel like the worms were established enough to handle that kind of feeding, although it did create a little bit of an upset inside. I did notice a lot of the worms trying to come up and come out. I had a bunch on the lid and whatnot, but it's since been calming down, and all the worms went back inside, which is nice. I did go and pick some leaves from the fallen leaves outside. I put them in there, and I assumed that they were full of bugs and full of little microorganisms already, so I didn't want that to get out into the house either. So I shredded a bunch of fresh paper and I put it on top, and I didn't get it wet. I left it dry so that it would start absorbing some of the moisture that might be seeping out of the Hungry Bin, and I don't want that type of moisture to be getting out into my house. And it's actually working. I feel this, and I feel like a dampness when I had originally put this in there completely dry. I've also noticed there's no condensation on the box anymore. There's very, very little condensation on the lid, meaning that the paper is doing what I had originally intended to do. It's soaking up all the moisture. There's absolutely no smell when I opened this. Actually, when I opened it, it just smelled like shredded newspaper. And I had put a heavy feed in here before bringing it into the house. So yeah, pretty cool. The leachate that's coming out at the bottom, it's coming out black. And to prevent myself from making any messes, I just put a plate inside of the pan, and this is a really great way to get the leachate out to top up my compost tea. So I made this a few weeks ago as well, and it's done, and it's been done for a week and a half, but I strained it, and then I continued leaving it bubbling like this because I don't want any bad buildup of some organisms that might be harmful to me or to my plants. So I've left it building up. I've also been watering it down. So I'll take a cup out of here, I'll put it into here, and over the span of 2 weeks, this goes down quite a bit because I have actually quite a lot of plants in my house that I use the compost tea with. So all of these get it, and I tend to run out pretty quick. So then I just fill it up with water that I've been bubbling already for a while. So I have 4 containers like this and another 5-gallon pail that are bubbling in my kitchen in a warmer room temperature environment. And then I dump that stuff in here to dilute it. I continue the bubble process. I continue adding leachate to it, and then I continue feeding all of my plants organically without any nutrients. And everything seems to be going pretty good. I did make a couple adjustments to my system here so that I could keep it indoors without having to go outside to keep the temperature up there. I have like a fan down in the corner over here in order to keep the humidity and the air moving through this little area. I also have a fan installed up here to take the air out, and the whole point is to kind of use the heat of the lights to generate heat in my house, and yeah, just get this grow done with. These were all meant to be growing outside with natural sunlight. That's why I don't have any ventilation system or carbon air cleaning system or nothing like that. This wasn't the intent, but I had such a good run in the summer that I tried to squeeze one more run in before winter, and this is the last of it that's just finishing up here. So it's going pretty good. I'm pretty stoked with this Hungry Bin. This has been amazing food for my plants, and everything in my house is thriving. So that's pretty much all that I have for you guys today. If anything changes or if I have any significant updates, I'll share those with you when that happens. Peace. Perhaps to follow up my Hungry Bin setup, it would be beneficial to just show you guys what I've been using it for. So this is maybe like a 20-year-old plant. This is a pothos plant. It does have some marbling on some of the leaves because this was originally just a clone that we had plugged a bunch of. My mom had originally plugged a bunch of leaves and some of the air roots into the soil of a bunch of other pothos plants that we had, and it's actually continued to grow so well. And since I've started adding the Hungry Bin combo compost tea in here, so the vermicompost tea, it's been growing like crazy. And I've been doing a lot of trimming on this plant, and I've been cloning a lot of it. So I have this here, which is 10 shoots that I cut off of the main mother plant, and I had growing in these cloth pots. I went out and bought myself a little cheese plant. Here's some more clones. These aren't doing as well. I feel like the pot is my biggest problem, because in this big cloth pot it seems to be going great. In these little pots I'm not having as much success. The leaves just don't feel as good, but it's still working. I have another little aloe plant. This was a pup that I pulled off of my original one. Here's an apple that's going to go into my worm bin. I have a couple plants that I've bought as well. Some of those little petals here have fallen off, so I've gone and planted them into my cloth pots to see if anything will happen. I've pinned this cheese plant down because there was a giant air root coming out, and I wanted to make sure that I could provide the best growing environment for this thing, because I really want to clone it as well. There's another air root down there, which I'm probably gonna push down and encourage to get some roots down into the dirt. I've got some more plants I'm going to show you in just a sec. This thing's about, I don't know, 20 years old as well. This is my mom's plant. Same idea. This was a clone, and or maybe this was an original, or this is a clone of the original and the original died. I don't know. It's 20 years old. It's super old. I do know that we did try to clone it and we succeeded. And we have 2 stalks growing here of the same plant, and we have a little pup down here as well. So these ones have been, I think, replanted. They've been 2 years or 3 years in the house. In this pot, I think they've been in this pot for 2 years, yeah. And only recently have I started doing the vermicompost tea in here, and it's been going really well. I got a lot of new growth on this, even though the weather is getting colder. Since they're in the house, and they get a lot of light from these, not a lot of light, but they get a light to trick them, to make them think that it's a different season. They're doing really well. This plant, I think it's a snake plant or a serpent plant. I don't know what it is, but this thing's doing amazing. This is a clone of the one that I just showed you over in the kitchen. This one has now turned into a mother plant as well, because I've been cutting this off and producing all sorts of different stocks from this one. Here's an example of that. And once again, these are all getting compost tea. This one got compost tea, and it started getting some new shoots to the point where it's like, you know, hitting the ceiling. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to fix that. Here's another potos, which is a clone as well. This one was cloned last year along with that one. This one had better soil, and this one had the cheap soil, so you could see the difference in the leaves and the stalks. I haven't cloned this one yet, but I've started giving it the compost tea, and it's been performing a lot better now. This is a purchase plant that I got at Devon's greenhouse. I love Devon's. They have such healthy, beautiful plants that they sell for such an amazing price, and none of the plants that I bought from Devon's have failed on me yet. I even had some little cuttings that when I was shopping at Devon's, I just threw it into this same pot. Like the lady even saw me, and she was like, "Oh, good luck with those." And I pulled them up just recently, and they did have some roots. These are some aloe vera plants that started off in a cup, like smaller than this. It started off in a cup just like that, and I used to have it on my counter windowsill at my office. And when I left my company, I brought the plants with me, repotted them and everything, and they turned into these giant monsters. And one of my buddies actually offered to buy both of them if I repotted them, resoiled them, and encouraged them to grow bigger. So I might be able to sell each one for $60 or something like that, and we're going to put them into some nice terracotta pots and get some more soil specific for these aloe plants. Here's another clone of the mother that I had shown you in the kitchen. And these are purchase plants from Devon's. I've got a whole variety there. They had a special where if you bought 2, you get the second one free, right? So buy one, get one free. So I bought like 4 or 6. There's a couple here, and there's a couple there that I got. There's some more in my bedroom, which I'll show you guys after. These I bought at Home Depot. They were all dying. I got them for $1. $1. These are clones of the potos, not doing so well. This was on special at Devon's as well. These are other clones of the potos not doing as well. I think the key to cloning them is to really get them into a bigger container. Cloth pot seems to be working really, really well for me, and getting everything nice and moist, but then not watering it after that. I'm noticing some, it just doesn't seem like they're doing too good, so I don't know. But yeah, that's what I have in my living room on the windowsill. Let me just show you what I have in my bedroom on the windowsill. So this is what I got on the windowsill in my bedroom. This would be more like my intensive care unit. All of my clones that I'm really trying to put some effort, or some brand new plants, I put them in here because these are the first things that I see when I wake up in the morning. And I just want to make sure that these get established before I go and put them out with the rest. Also, I don't have any more room, so gotta repot some stuff, combine it into bigger cloth pots, and then find spots for them out in my living room space, or just wait until the summer and then get them all out on the patio. So here's a succulent that I had first got. This succulent, I got just a little bit of a strand. I got something about this big, and I wrapped it up in paper towel. I was at a restaurant out in Squamish. I brought it home, and my mom was able to propagate it, and it turned into this giant bed of thick green grass, and I've been propagating it ever since. And that's what these containers are for here. I'm hopefully going to propagate this into massive amounts and use them out in my property, in my condo building. This one I bought at Devon's. It was really, really small, maybe half the size, and now it's grown to this, which is super nice. I love this color. It's so weird, these leaves and how the tops grow. Same with this. This is very similar in consistency, like the feeling of the leaf. Almost feels like I don't like the name saying it, but these Jew plants, like a wandering Jew. I don't love the name, and I don't know the technical name of it, but yeah, this is called a wandering Jew. The feeling of it is very similar to this little green plant, but this has a little bit of like a fur or a hair to it, and it doesn't have a terrible name that I hate to say. So I really, really like this one, and I hope this one goes well. I do feel like it's a little cold here for them all, but I'm setting them up, I feel like, for success once it starts getting warmer in about 3 or 4 months. This is my neighbor's plant. His plants, I used to go to my neighbor's house and I'd see them and I'd cringe inside because they were all just dying and dilapidated. But yeah, this was a succulent that had a bunch of strands coming off down there, and they were all drying up like raisins. So I took all the strands, I wrapped them all up, and I covered them up in vermicompost, and then I added a little bit of my own succulent in there, and then I started watering it. And now I'm getting some greenness coming out, and it kind of looks like some good stuff is happening. He also had one of these plants that I bought at Home Depot for $1. I think he actually may have paid full price for this, but just not taking care of it too well. So same idea with this. I used just a little bit of vermicompost into the soil. I didn't want to overwhelm this plant because they hadn't seen any nutrition or even water, I think, for months. So yeah, I put a bit of vermicompost in here, and then I added a little bit of water, and I'm just letting them chill, wait a little bit here, get accustomed to my environment in my house, which is a little bit more humid, and I'm a little bit more consistent with watering. And eventually I will water this again. It is feeling like a little dry. It's not doing too good, but I think with a little bit of TLC, I could really make this thing flourish as big as some of the other ones that I have out on my deck in the summer. This one's beautiful. It's like an ivy. I just love it. I bought this from my friend, but he didn't seem too interested, so I kept it for myself. I have one of these in my living room as well. This one as well. These are all from Devon's, by the way. Devon's greenhouse in Abbotsford. I got these all from Devon's. This one's just gorgeous as well. Same thing. I'm trying to just let it climatize to my home. I put a little bit of the compost tea in here, but just a bit, and just letting it sit. This is a coffee plant. Yeah, I wonder how big I can make this grow. If I put as much passion and attention to these plants as I do with my cannabis plants, there's no telling how big and how amazing these could look. I just have to figure out the environmental kind of desires that these plants want, like how much water, how much humidity, how much light. So yeah, I just love how shiny this leaf is. It's very like crunchy and almost paper-like. and just so deep green. I just love how it looks. This is a spider plant. I'm really hoping this one is going to turn into one of those highly clonable plants for me. I saw at the greenhouse that they did have one that was in one of these small ones, and it had a bunch of shoots coming off, and it looked really, really cool. And I was very tempted to buy that one, but at the same time, I kind of want to produce those shoots myself. And if I fail, then I know for sure that I did something wrong. But if I succeed, then I'll know that that's completely on me and due to my vermicompost, my compost tea, and the environment that I'm providing for these. And then finally, my roving Jew or roaming Jew, I'm not sure exactly what it's called, wandering Jew. Darn, I just said the name like 3 times there. I don't love the name. I'm gonna go today, I think, to go see some more plants. I think I'm gonna just figure out and memorize the technical name for this plant so that I don't have to continue saying the name that I don't love saying so much. But yeah, this one's doing really, really well as well. I haven't repotted any of these yet. I'm kind of afraid to do it. It's not necessarily the best season to be repotting plants because it is so cold. But as you can tell, everything on my patio is beginning to die off a little bit. Oh, there's a little cannabis plant. I'm just leaving those. Those are just decorative. They're not meant for harvest or anything like that. There's some mint growing over here like crazy, along with my homegrown succulent that I got that I'm actually cloning down here. So that's it. That's all of my plants. Everything is getting the vermicompost. Everything seems to be doing really, really well. I haven't had anything die except for this one coming extremely close to death. Hopefully I'll be able to bring it back. But yeah, I look forward to making another video for you guys, maybe in a couple weeks or in a month, just to give you an update as to how everything is looking.